Boy, it's that time of the year again where the Galaxy S phones are leaking like crazy and Samsung does not give a crap. I'm convinced that Samsung starts giving raises to employees that will leak the S10 because it's coming out in a couple weeks. The event's on February 20th, but man, case manufacturers are tweeting out pictures. Samsung's accidentally leaking pictures. People are using it in public all the time now. So at this point, Samsung's just free press. All right, we'll rake it in. Let everyone see what the S10 looks like. So yeah, I'll take the bait. Today, we're talking about the Galaxy S10, all of the leaks, all the things we should expect to come with it in just a couple more weeks before that unveiling. So, without further ado, here's basically everything about the Galaxy S10. So there were plenty of leak images to find for this video and plenty of cutaway shots to use. So what I will say about the design is, as I predicted, bezels on that S10 are not exactly as thin as everyone was anticipating. And that's usually how things go with concepts. When someone designs a concept, it always looks a little more futuristic or a little better than the actual execution, because once I start seeing the Galaxy S10 in person, it kind of puts itself in a tad more of reality and not this kind of dream phone that a lot of people were hoping for. This is gonna fix everything. This phone's gonna change everything. Samsung figured it out. They're geniuses of innovation. And while there's definitely a lot of innovation and a lot of geniuses at Samsung, once you start seeing people use the phone in day-to-day use, you start going, oh, that's how it looks? And don't get me wrong, the Galaxy S10 does not look like a bad phone. If anything, I'm somewhat excited for it because I think it's gonna be one of the best Android phones of the year. And as many other people out there have pointed out, Samsung phones are kind of like the Swiss Army knife of smartphones. This thing's gonna have everything. It's gonna have 3 cameras on the back. I'm personally hoping that's an ultra wide, a standard, and a telephoto lens, which I think would give photographers and videographers a vast array of options to work with. Not to mention a front-facing camera with that, of course, notoriously known camera hole, and it appears that the Galaxy S10 Plus is going to have a dual camera on the front, which most people are anticipating is going to be a standard camera as well as an ultra-wide camera, similar to what you have with the Pixel 3 XL, which, don't get me wrong, I'm fine with the fact that they want to give the Plus model more camera options, and I use the ultra-wide lens on the Pixel 3 XL when I use that phone for a while, and it's good, it's useful, but I don't know how I feel about the fact that you have to have a more intrusive camera hole if you choose the larger size. You know, I would have been even okay if they decided to have an ultra-wide lens on the front for all the models. That way, no matter which S10 you buy, the camera hole's the same size, but I find it a little bit frustrating for customers out there that want the most features, but doesn't it feel a little bit unfair that when you're paying top dollar and when you pay for the most amount of features, you get a camera oval and you get this wider camera cutout that's going to intrude more on the software than if you get the regular size S10, which just has one lens? I don't know. It doesn't work like that on iPhones. You know, the XS Max and the XS, different display sizes, but the same notch. You don't get a bigger notch if you buy the bigger phone. I just don't think it's quite fair to the customer, and it makes things a little more complicated. But on top of that, Galaxy S10 is still going to be rocking the headphone jack, but a lot of people are anticipating this is going to be the last Samsung phone to sport it. So if you like phones with a headphone jack and you're sticking true to wired headphones, say goodbye, because this very possibly could be it, and we're still not exactly sure if the Note 10 will be sporting a headphone jack. It probably will, but there's a lot of people suggesting that the headphone jack era might end very, very soon. When looking at the real-life pictures of the Galaxy S10, I can very noticeably see still the chin that we had with the Galaxy S9, so if you were hoping for that iPhone look of bezels being same size on all sides, it's not going to be here with the Galaxy S10, and in several other pictures I've also noticed, while there's no notch and instead there's a camera hole, there's still a little bit of a forehead. So I really hope they don't try to advertise this thing as bezel-less, because don't get me wrong, it's definitely closer to having that higher screen-to-body ratio than previous phones like the S9, which just had big giant forehead, and the Galaxy S8, which also had big chin, big forehead, and then they called it infinity display, even though you can see the ends of it. The S10, you can still see it, so it kind of feels bizarre that you're dealing with chin, forehead, and camera hole, but I guess at the end of the day, they still will advertise it as no notch. Personally, I'm not against the camera hole. I think it's just one other approach of needing a camera cutout and wanting to have as much pixels facing you as possible, but I'm more worried about how the software is going to work around this, particularly because this is an Android phone, which means that all of the thousands of developers out there that have their apps, trying to design their apps for thousands of different Android phones, I feel like that means most apps are probably just going to try to ignore the camera hole as much as possible, which means that when you're using most third-party third-party applications, it's just going to cut them off, as this leaked image has shown in the past. Android devs are just not going to look at anything around the camera cutout as usable space. They're just going to ignore it, which means that when you're using different apps, they just kind of draw a line right beneath the camera hole, and it feels less optimized, and in my opinion feels a bit more clunky. But for the most part, I guess you'll get more pixels when you're watching video and you're actually using apps that take the full coverage of that display. I'm just saying, I don't think there's going to be that many apps that utilize those extra pixels, and for the most part, it's still going to be treated just like the notification bar of any phone. So it's a step closer to the future, but in my opinion, not a huge step. Also, these leaks are definitely confirming the fingerprint reader being built into the display, which a lot of people are saying Samsung is using a different type of fingerprint reader, which is going to be more secure and more fast, and I imagine Samsung is going to be touting that the fingerprint reader is the best way to unlock the phone, because they're probably removing iris scanning with the Galaxy S10 as well, which means that you'll have a fairly safe face unlock, but probably an even more safe fingerprint unlock. So they're going to be hoping you use that the most. And in these recent pictures Samsung's been tweeting, they're also showcasing some new Galaxy wireless headphones that can apparently be charged from the Galaxy S10, which is a feature that's not completely unique. We've seen it on Huawei phones, but these Galaxy Buds, or whatever they're going to call them, have not been seen before, and they're rumored to price around $170, so they could be an upgrade on the Gear Icon X. It's not exactly been confirmed, but the fact that you'll be able to like set your phone down and charge your wireless headphones is pretty cool, because that also means the Galaxy S10 is going to have reverse wireless charging capabilities, meaning if you want to buy an S10 and use it as a battery bank so that you can charge, you know, an actual good phone on top of your S10, you'll be able to, which is a neat feature. It's definitely not something you should buy an entire phone over, but it's still, once again, a really, really cool addition to a phone that's already packed with so many features. Just as a last minute reminder, there will be 3 sizes to the Galaxy S10. That Galaxy S10 Plus with 6 cameras in total, holy crap. And then the regular size Galaxy S10, and then the Galaxy S10 Lite, which is going to be missing a few features that the flagship S10s will have. Like, it's rumored to not have a fingerprint reader built into the display, it won't have any curved edges, and it might not have a triple camera. It might just stick with 2, and that will be in efforts to keep the price as low as possible. That way they can justify the Galaxy S10 and S10 Plus having much higher starting prices than we're used to, as a lot of people are anticipating the S10 will start at around $900, and the S10 Plus could start at $1,000. Those are our running prices for now. Of course, they might change when the products actually get unveiled, but I'm personally very interested to see how the user interface in Samsung's skin is able to make good use of the hardware presented to it, because these will be shipping with Snapdragon 855s, which I hope can help unlock a few features that were typically locked before on the Galaxy S9, like I couldn't record 4K at 60 for more than 5 minutes, or 4K for more than 10 minutes, and as a vlogger, as someone who records a lot of stuff on my phone, that was very limiting and felt like a step backwards in a lot of ways. So I'm hoping that with the new Snapdragon chips, maybe that will help them unlock some of those limitations. I'm pretty sure I know for a fact that the 855 is not going to compete or be as fast as the Apple A12 chip, but I'll be excited to see how fast they can get it on the S10. And it's also rumored to have better battery lives than the S9, which I'll definitely be testing once the S10 comes out. But yeah, ultimately, I'm just mostly disappointed they're keeping the Bixby button. I wish they would listen to their fans on that and realize, hey, you know, this Swiss Army knife could use a little bit less tools in it. Some of these tools don't need to be there, and I would love the option to not have a 4th button on the outside of my phone, because it really doesn't need to be there. But most importantly, what I'm looking forward to on the S10 is all those different camera options. 2 on the front, 3 on the back. That's a ton of variety, and I think a lot of people are going to end up buying this phone and be very, very happy with it. So, are you planning on buying the Galaxy S10? What prices do you think will be fair, and what features do you most importantly want to see on the Galaxy S10? All that good stuff, let me know in the comments down below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.